Isekai anime takes you beyond reality, into worlds where nothing is given and everything is earned. It's a genre built on struggle, growth, and the cost of starting over. Here's a top 10 isekai anime list that leaves a lasting impression. Let's get started. From commonplace to world's strongest. Hajime Nagumo was an ordinary otaku until one unusual day when he and his class were summoned to a fantasy world as heroes. Instead of receiving powerful abilities, he ends up with a weak skill, ridiculed while his classmates excel. Then betrayal strikes. He is pushed into an abyss, left to die, stripped of more than just hope. He survives through sheer will, transforms into something unstoppable, and meets allies who refuse to give up. Would you continue fighting when everything you knew is gone and you are forced to rebuild yourself from the ground up? As his power grows, the world shifts beneath his feet, and the forgotten boy becomes the one everyone fears. They thought he was gone for good. It turns out the weak boy they abandoned is now the force controlling the world. Karma acts swiftly when delivered from the abyss. A mysterious portal opens in Tokyo's Ginza, turning the city upside down as knights and monsters spill into modern life. Yoji Itami is a relaxed otaku and part-time soldier, but his routine convention trip suddenly becomes ground zero for an invasion. He improvises while the military panics. Before long, he is leading the Japan Self-Defense Forces into the strange special region, a place full of dragons, magic, and medieval emperors where diplomacy and combat clash in unexpected ways. Each discovery challenges everything he thought he knew, forcing him to balance curiosity with the harsh realities of war. As Itami interacts with locals like an elf maiden and a half-god warrior, the story moves from shock to teamwork, culture clashes to trust, while battles appear everywhere. The show blends tanks and magic, turning a fantasy war into an exploration of real military power and its costs. In the end, it's about two worlds colliding and the people struggling to survive. The moment Shingo Ichinamiya opens his eyes in another world, he realizes he's no longer a working adult. He's now Wendelin, the eighth son of a poverty-stricken noble family. Not exactly the ideal starting point in a fantasy kingdom, right? Being the eighth in line means no inheritance, no influence, and barely any future to look forward to. But here's where things get interesting. Wendelin discovers he has an exceptional talent for magic, something that could completely change his fate. With guidance from unexpected mentors and a determination far stronger than his tiny noble title, he sets out to build a life that isn't defined by his family status. The story mixes humor, light political drama, and that classic isekai charm, following a boy who refuses to stay in the background. It's upbeat, easy to enjoy, and all about carving your own path even when the world thinks you're irrelevant. The story follows Liam Banfield, who in his previous life followed the rules, devoted and honest, only to be betrayed and left drowning in debt. Reborn into an aristocratic family of a vast interstellar empire, he vows this time to live for himself and become the ultimate villainous lord. He acquires a remote fief, plans tyrannical schemes, gathers weapons and subordinates for his reign of terror. Yet even in his darkest plans, fate seems to bend his actions toward good. Yet every time his harsh decrees somehow result in reforms that improve standards, end piracy, and make his people celebrate. As his name spreads across the galaxy, he begins to wonder if he is doing something wrong by being so successful at being bad. Here is the twist of the saga. What happens when evil ambition meets accidental benevolence, and how does one lord feel when his subjects love him more than they fear him? Perhaps he is not a villain after all, but the galaxy's most confused hero in disguise. I'm a noble on the brink of ruin, so I might as well try mastering magic tells the story of a young man who is suddenly transported to another world and reincarnates as a noble named Liam Hamilton. As he begins his new life, he quickly realizes that being a noble is not as ideal as he had imagined. His inherited lands are in ruins, the servants work endlessly, and his family name is nearly forgotten. Rather than giving up, Liam decides to study magic, not for glory, but out of his own curiosity. However, the deeper he explores the world of magic, the more dark secrets of his family are revealed. What began as a desire to enjoy his second life transforms into a struggle against power, politics, and survival. Amid the ambitions of nobles, ancient magic, and a fragile family legacy, Liam ultimately realizes that true strength is not only about mastering spells, but mastering himself. Saga of Tanya the Evil is about a nameless Japanese man, a hardcore atheist office worker. One day he is killed by an angry subordinate and ends up facing an entity calling itself being X. Since he refuses to believe, he is punished by being reincarnated into a war-torn alternate world. Thrown into chaos with no control over his fate, he desperately seeks any logical way to survive. Yet every decision he makes seems to push him deeper into conflict engineered by being X's interference. In this new world, he is reborn as a young girl named Tanya von de Gurchaff. Tanya possesses extraordinary magical skills and joins the Imperial Army's Mage Corps. With ambitions to climb the ranks and avoid the front lines, she uses the military system to her advantage. Even though she appears as a young girl, Tanya is known as the Devil of the Rhine for her brutal combat and ruthless tactics. She rises through the ranks quickly, facing various challenges and endless battles along the way. This isn't your usual superhero story. Suicide Squad's worst criminals are teleported into a full-blown fantasy world. Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Peacemaker, Clayface, and King Shark are thrown through a portal by Amanda Waller, with bombs implanted in their necks to keep them in line. They crash into a land of swords, sorcery, and monsters. A classic isekai setup, except the heroes are the last people you'd ever trust. Their mission is brutally simple: help save a collapsing kingdom or face a detonation countdown that's ticking relentlessly. The series blends chaos, dark humor, and explosive action as the squad clash with fantasy armies, royal politics, and their own terrible teamwork. Every episode pushes them closer to either survival or disaster. It's wild, unpredictable, and absolutely unhinged. Exactly what you'd expect when villains get isekai'd. The Eminence of Shadow follows Sid Kajanu, a young man who always appears goofy and unaware. He often plays the victim, yet somehow leaves a trail of chaos wherever he goes, because deep down, he is obsessed with being a hero, and he is actually a reincarnator. Although he seems like an ordinary, awkward teenager, every action he takes ends up altering the course of battles and the fate of those around him. People frequently misunderstand him, and he continues performing unusual actions to maintain his image. His fascination with the shadow world may make it appear that he is merely fooling around, but behind every move lies tremendous power and careful strategy. While his allies remain perplexed and his enemies are defeated without warning, he navigates the chaos with a calm, indifferent smile as if nothing had occurred. In a world where light seeks glory, he chooses the comfort of the dark. For in the shadows, true power needs no audience. Here's what makes the rising of the S.H.I.E.L.D. hero different. Naofumi is transported into a fantasy world along with 3 others to become so-called legendary heroes. He ends up with a shield, no sword, no offensive magic, just pure defense. From the beginning, everyone treats him poorly, and he is quickly betrayed. Framed, hated, and left with nothing, he could have given up. Instead, he starts from zero with one true ally, Raphtalia, the only person who genuinely believes in him. Together, they persevere through wave after wave, trying to survive while everyone doubts them. The seemingly weak hero becomes the foundation that holds everything together. When the storm arrives, that shield is not just defense, it becomes a tool for justice. The one everyone underestimated ends up saving the entire world. This is what happens when adversity is transformed into strength. From zero to hero, Naofumi proves that true strength comes from heart, not power. Yakito Arabe is born into a cult, where his father leads worship of the goddess Mitama, and, after a ritual goes disastrously wrong, he dies wishing to escape gods and religion. He awakens in a bleak world, where belief does not exist, and life is controlled by a merciless state that can end you at any moment. When his new village friend, Arararu, and her sister are condemned for nothing, he rushes into a rescue that ends in failure, and finds himself praying to Mitama anyway. In answer to his call, the little goddess descends, obliterates their foes, and binds herself to Yukito's fate, as he stands between faith and tyranny. What began as a desire to be free of gods, turns into a crusade to elevate one, and challenge a world that has lost all meaning. Somewhere between faith and madness, Yakito finds that even in a godless world, belief can still rewrite everything. Caught between faith and chaos, Yakito discovers that even the tiniest spark of belief can shake the world.